Well, everyone, it's July, and that can only mean one thing. Better Call Saul is back, baby! So far this season, we've already had shocking deaths, mad twists, and even a few surprising cameos here and there, but the one big question still remains. How the hell is all of this going to end? Well, unsurprisingly, there are a bunch of theories as to how the following 6 episodes are going to go down, and we've compiled the most interesting ones here. So, grab your finest Hamble Indigo blue suit, because I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and this is Better Call Saul, 10 theories for how it all ends. Number 10, Kim goes into hiding. There are essentially 2 endings that befall every Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad character. Either they assume an identity and go into hiding, or they're just killed off. So, given the fact that she's missing from the events of Breaking Bad, Kim will have to be written out of Jimmy's life one way or another. And given her importance to him and how deep into his criminal dealings she's become over the years, it could be that she's too far gone and will have to start over to save herself and him. Not only would this explain her absence in Breaking Bad, but it will also allow Kim to finally break away from Jimmy and maybe start a new life, or, on the other hand, it might allow her to truly retreat into the shadows and help Jimmy from afar. Of course, people being disappeared in the Breaking Bad universe often comes down to one character, Ed, who arranges the new identities and gets these people out safely. Of course, the demise of Ed's actor Robert Foster means that we won't see this character in the flesh in the series, but that's not to say that we won't see his service, or that characters will end up using it one more time. Number 9, Kim dies protecting Jimmy. Then again, if we're talking about Kim's fate, it could just be that she's doomed. I mean, that is likely given how pretty much everyone associated with Jimmy has died over the course of this show, or at the very least has had their lives completely ruined. I mean, this idea that Jimmy sabotages everyone around him has been a running theme in the show for years now, going all the way back to when Chuck accused this of happening in like season 1 and 2. And to be fair, Chuck wasn't wrong, because we have seen evidence that supports this idea all the way throughout the show. I mean, season 6 part 1 saw the brutal murder of Howard Hamlin at the gun of LALO, and Jimmy's constant desire to save himself has led directly or indirectly to multiple other casualties, most critically, his brother Chuck. And right now, Kim is pretty much the last person standing. She's the closest thing Jimmy has to family remaining, and she's acted as his bedrock throughout the entire show and only got more entwined with his criminal activities as the show has progressed. However, that's a relationship that might just cost her her life. Now, admittedly, this isn't the most likely outcome for such a powerful character, especially after we've seen so many deaths so far this season, but it would ultimately back Jimmy into a corner for good and show how he finally fully transformed into the insane Saul Goodman that we see in Breaking Bad. He's nearly there now, but this would surely push him over the edge. Number 8, Kim is Saul's silent partner in Breaking Bad. The oldest and best theory surrounding Kim Wexler, though, has to be the idea that throughout Breaking Bad's entire run, Kim was actually there the whole time in the shadows, being used as Jimmy McGill's secret weapon. More specifically, she will be the silent partner and untraceable tax evader hinted at during Breaking Bad, who works under the name Ice Station Zebra Associates, which is a name used in several of hers and Jimmy's cons in Better Call Saul that's also mentioned in Breaking Bad. Now, this would surely be the most compelling and narratively satisfying result for Kim. This keeps her on Saul's side while working out of view to keep his criminal enterprise afloat. And let's face it, she's kind of already been doing that for the entire show's run already. Rewatching the series recently like I have, it's very clear that from as early as season 2, Kim is making Jimmy a better criminal. She is the one, after all, who, way back in season 2, actually encouraged Jimmy to cover his tracks when he went out of his way to set Chuck up with Mesa Verde. And that influence has only become more pronounced the deeper into the show we've got. This result also leaves the door open for a bunch of tantalizing potential plot twists down the line. I mean, what if we get Kim and Jimmy reuniting after the death of Walter White, or even maybe living long enough to head off into the sunset together? Or maybe she'll see the error of her ways after Breaking Bad so damn hard and get a happy ending away from Jimmy/Saul. Number 7, we finally get insight into Gus Fring's origins. We all know how Gus Fring's story ends, via the most botched facelift in history in season 4 of Breaking Bad. But what does this spin-off still have left in store for him? You'd imagine that there aren't many surprises left in the Gus versus LALO storyline, nothing that would completely retextualize Breaking Bad anywhere, so one great idea could be that the writers finally dive into Gus's backstory. And that's because after 11 seasons of TV, it's still kinda shocking how little we know about the Chicken Man. His past in Chile is barely even hinted at across both shows, with the viewer only getting a scant few scenes that really gives us an idea of what this guy was like before he came to Albuquerque. Going into Better Call Saul's final episodes then, it would be delightful to get more of a glimpse via flashbacks into this part of Gus's origins. Now admittedly, you don't want to do too much. Gus Fring's allure and mystery has always been part of the charm of the character. However, if you peel back this history just enough to give us a deeper insight into his character, make him that little bit more fleshed out, then it would go a long way while still keeping viewers guessing. Number 6, Mike saves Gus and kills LALO. Perhaps the biggest plotline fueling the final season of Better Call Saul has been the war between the vengeful LALO and Gus and his merry men. Given that LALO's actions indirectly led to the death of Nacho earlier in the season, and his unpredictability and power has made Gus of all people seem genuinely scared, it would make perfect sense that Mike, bitter about Nacho's fate and loyal to Gus, will be the one to ultimately take him down. Mike simply has too much personal investment in taking this guy out at this moment in time. I mean, hell, there's nothing that Mike hates more than someone being killed who isn't in the game, and that's exactly what happened with Howard Hamlin at the end of the last episode. That same slight is exactly what put him on the warpath with Hector Salamanca in the first place, all the way back in the earlier seasons, so now with all of these elements, it would make perfect sense for Mike to be the one to kill LALO, and it would be incredibly satisfying to see as a viewer. Number 5, Saul's original meeting with Walt and Jesse brings everything full circle. Much like Gus and Mike, we all know that Jimmy is going to make it out of this series alive, at least in the past tense storyline. Nobody really knows about Gene as of yet, but we still have one major question remaining. How does he transform from the Saul Goodman that we know now to the Saul Goodman that we know in Breaking Bad? Like I said before, he's very nearly the same character, but there are differences between them, especially in terms of how cutthroat Saul becomes in Breaking Bad. So what better way to hammer home just how far we've come from the season 1 version of Jimmy McGill to the one we meet in Breaking Bad by having Better Call Saul actually finish with Saul's first meeting between Walt and Jesse in Breaking Bad itself. After all, it has been confirmed that we will see Walt and Jesse in the final episodes, and it has been confirmed that it's more than just a quick cameo. Therefore, why not bring everything full circle and recontextualize that first meeting between these iconic characters? Ultimately, it would be a nice parting gift for longtime fans, and it would be a reminder of the hell that's to come after Saul's story ends in this show and we get into Breaking Bad. Number 4, Jimmy turns himself in. Jimmy's post-Breaking Bad life has only been hinted at here and there in the run of Better Call Saul so far, but still, the image of an aged Gene is one that is both pathetic and incredibly tragic. And just knowing what we know about this character, it's clear that he won't last long as this beaten down old man, so what's to come for Gene? Well, one theory is that by the end of the show, he'll actually turn himself into the authorities to atone for his previous sins. There are a bunch of different theories as to why he would turn himself in. I mean, why would he suddenly have this epiphany after being such a bastard for so many years? And they stem from him doing it to clear Kim's name, kind of how like Walter White took most of the blame to clear Skyler's name in Breaking Bad, or maybe it's just because time is catching up to him and the police are closing in those flash forwards. Now admittedly, this isn't the most imaginative theory around, and it might be a little bit boring considering just how many scrapes we've seen Jimmy get out of over the years, but still, it is a real possibility and would tie it back into Chuck, who always kind of only wanted Jimmy to ever take responsibility in the first place. One way or another, we just need to see Jimmy be truthful about all of the carnage he's caused throughout the years. Number 3, Jimmy and Kim ride off into the sunset. Now this admittedly probably is the least likely outcome on this entire list, but what if Jimmy and Kim just get to ride off into the sunset and have a nice happy ending? Since we don't know what's become of Kim at the time of Walter White's death, there is a small chance, though knowing Vince Gilligan, probably an even smaller one than I am assuming, that the pair could reunite in Omaha once the show comes to an end, though they'll probably do so as fugitives hidden under false identities. Maybe even Victor and Giselle? I'm just gonna throw that one out there off the cuff. That came from the old brain box right there. As noted, it's not exactly the most ironclad or even emotionally satisfying resolution for the show, but just based on how many times Slip and Jimmy and Kim have both evaded responsibility and gotten out on top, who's to say it couldn't happen one more time with one final Hail Mary play? Number 2, Walt confronts Jimmy before the Breaking Bad finale. One of the most enticing mysteries throughout Better Call Saul's entire run has been figuring out when exactly the gene flash forwards are set. Namely, are they set years after Breaking Bad, or are they set before Walter White's death while he was away in hiding? Well, Vince Gilligan has already confirmed that Bryan Cranston will be returning as Heisenberg for a guest spot, as previously mentioned, and it would add heaps of drama to the finale of Breaking Bad if Walt managed to hunt Jimmy down in Omaha and seek forgiveness or maybe some advice before biting the dust. Having one final confrontation between two of Breaking Bad's most powerful characters, both at their most pathetic and beaten down, would be an incredible resolution for the franchise and a great moment of fan service for fans who have stuck with both shows and are finally getting to enjoy them properly crossing over. Also, between El Camino and Better Call Saul, it's clear that the writers love recontextualizing and adding extra layers to what we already know went down in Breaking Bad, and this would be a way to do that in a big way. The only lingering question after that is, how will their confrontation actually go? Will they forgive each other? Will they be at each other's throats? Or, like I hinted at, will they even give each other some advice for what they're going to do next? Or, and this might be a little bit wacky, could the scene also add to Heisenberg's body count? Number 1, it ends with Jimmy's death. Much like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul seems like it could only finish in one way for its eponymous character, and that's with him biting the dust. Over the last 6 seasons, we've seen Jimmy McGill morph from a once well-meaning lawyer into an outright villain. Still, thanks to the sublime writing and a career-defining performance from Bob Odenkirk, it has still been easy to root for Jimmy along the way, even when he's being an absolute prick. However, it's also been just as easy to sit back and realize that this guy is just digging himself a hole as the show goes on, and that ultimately, he might be doomed. Based on his dealings with LALO, his indirect connection to Jack Welker's neo-Nazi gang, and the fact that he's a wanted fugitive, it does seem that his days are numbered, and that he's destined to be taken down by a figure from his past. How exactly he'll meet his fate is up for debate. However, this unambiguous ending would nicely mirror the events of Breaking Bad as well, with of course Walter White dying in that show's final moments. It would be like poetry, you know? It rhymes. So that's our list. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are you looking forward to the final episodes of Better Call Saul? And do you think it'll be able to surpass the ending that we got with Breaking Bad? Let me know what theories you have and whether you agree with those. And while you're down there, if you could, please give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to whatculture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't though, I've been Josh, he's been Lalo Salamanca, and we'll see you soon.